This podcast was produced by OAR FM Dunedin with support from New Zealand On the Air.
Welcome to What's News Dunedin, brought to you by Casa Valencia, the radio show that spawned from the 23,000 plus strong local Otipoti What's News Dunedin Facebook group. The group that's put in the social back into social media since 2020 with respectful added debate and a sense of humour. I'm your host, Richard Knights. On today's show, we're talking to our wonderful guest, Jen Wilson from the PSA. Tell us a bit more about themselves and what they do, as well as helping us look back at the posts that generate the most interactions over the last little while on the What's News Dunedin Facebook group. Those three topics this week are, with the cold firmly with us, the state of rental accommodation in Dunedin, especially for our students, South Dunedin and its future, and starting to see some policies coming from the parties as the election draws ever closer. But Christopher Luxon seems to have disappeared from the news. Welcome to the show, Jen.
Kia ora. Thanks for having me.
Welcome. Anyway, before we do any of that stuff, we have my three pop questions, and we also have our joke of the week. Now, I'm not sure if you're a member of the What's News Dunedin Facebook group or not, and you don't have to be. That's not a prerequisite for being on the show. But on a Monday, we have a Punday Monday post, right? So all that is me saying to what people, bring your best dad jokes. And then whoever gets the most laugh reacts gets the joke read out on the show. It's as simple as that. There's no science here, just a number of laugh reacts. But we have a kind of there's a running competition because some of the guys, like, you know, they want to win week in, week out, so they bring their good stuff week in, week out. So the job of this really is to see whether the joke comes off the page and into the spoken world and it's still funny. Okay, so this week's pun of the week. I was stopped by a police officer. Him. Do the letters HD mean anything to you, sir? Me? No. Him. What about EF? Me? No. Should they? Him again. Okay. What about NG? Me? No. Officer, look, am I suspected of something? Him? No, sir. We're just doing initial inquiries.
Oh, lovely.
It's a good one, isn't it? I like that one.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, you kind of go, where's this joke going?
Yeah, no, it's...
Yeah. Max Reed. It's a winner. Max is on the show a lot for his jokes. He's puntastic. He's been a friend of the show, been on the show as well as a proper guest, you know. But his jokes get, you know, a reasonable amount of airtime at the same time.
Well done, Max.
Perfect. Now, before we get on to the news, what we'd like to do is my three pop questions. Now, my three pop questions are the questions that I've decided get under the skins of all my guests, and basically tell us everything we need to know about Jen Wilson, the person, in three simple, quick questions. Right, there's no science involved here, Jen. It's just me making rubbish up, and with the help of my wife. It's not been tested by any psychologist or anything like that. It's just some fun. So, cream teas. You know, you have a scone, you have jam, you have cream. What goes on for the scone first, jam or cream?
Jam.
Good answer.
Devs.
Good answer. Now, I've got a couple of executive producers on the show, which are Kelly Campbell and Jill Bowie, who I know you're
friends with,
absolutely. And I'm pleased that they haven't got to you, because what they do is they get to my guests sometimes and tell them to say it the other way around, because they know how much it like riles me. That someone might come in and say like cream and then I had Anna Knight on here a few months back, and Anna delivered it so deadpan that I genuinely was halfway through chucking her out the door, and then she went, "Oh, Kelly and Jill told me to do that." So I was like,
"Burn." So
now, yeah, exactly. They got me good, but at the same time, they also leave me like little messages and pictures and stuff, and then wish me luck with the show. So, and they obviously helped me find you as a guest. So I do owe them a debt of thanks. So even when they do try and wind me up,
a scone, perhaps
a scone, but only if they put the jam on first and the cream on second.
Course.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so second question, much easier because there's no wrong or right answer. Who is your favourite Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle?
It's going back. I don't really have a favourite, but Raphael.
Yep, they're all Renaissance painters.
He'll do.
Yeah, absolutely.
He'll do.
He's as good a choice as any of the other three. Leonardo, Donatello, Michelangelo being the other three, say all Renaissance painters. There's no bad choice with the turtles.
I think I agree.
So, and now, third and final question, which is a bit of a thinker. All right, so give this one the due consideration it deserves. Would you rather be thrown a surprise birthday party or plan your entire party from start to finish?
Oh, definitely surprise.
Not much of a party planner?
Not really, no.
Would you just like to be surprised?
Yeah, totally. If somebody wants to surprise me with a party, I'd be amazed.
Yeah.
And delighted.
Yeah, I think I'm the same. Like, genuinely, just because just can't bother to plan it. Like, from a start off, that sounds like a lot of work. Like, let someone else do that for me.
Yeah, and there's quite a lot of stress with planning a party.
Oh, I can imagine.
Do you
I
know
wouldn't know. I've
if,
never done
if
it.
it's a surprise, then it's just on the other person.
Just turn up.
I just got to turn up and
enjoy.
Be surprised.
Absolutely. Be the perfect guest.
Yeah.
But
be grateful.
Yeah, didn't have to put the legwork in beforehand.
Mm.
I definitely think I'm gonna agree with you on that one.
Excellent.
So let's talk about the news, the recent news. So middle of winter. Not a little while ago, there was an article on stuff about finding the coldest flat in Dunedin, or finding the coldest flat in the country. So it's like, it just kind of made me thinking, like, you know, I'm very lucky at my house, newish house, only built in 2010, so up-to-date building code, up-to-date insulation, you know, everywhere it needs to be warm, it's warm. Modern heating, heat pumps. But we have a lot of housing stock that doesn't meet anything like that kind of standard. And there are a lot of our students and our more vulnerable people that are living in some very cold houses.
Oh, it's awful.
Yeah, and I was just thinking about it. There's been some stories, and you just kind of go, what are we doing right, if anything, and what are we getting wrong, you know? Because in my mind, you got this thing called the Healthy Home Standard, which was designed to, I think it was the Labor government, possibly, designed to kind of help increase the standard of our housing. All right, they gave them till 2026 now, like from back in like whenever to 2020 something, to get up to standard. You know, insulation, drafts, all those kind of things. Kind of feels that it was well intentioned, if not necessarily well executed.
I agree. I think I've heard of. I mean, I've got my own home, really fortunately. And but in my time, you know, as a young mum, for example, I've lived in houses that were cold and damp and had holes in the floor, and since then, since the Healthy Homes came in, it seems as though there's been some improvements, but the standards are not such that you can guarantee that there won't be mould, for example, in a house that meets the standards of the Healthy Homes. There has to be a heating source. But I don't know quite what's missing. But it certainly is a problem for people's health, for children's health, for old people's health, for their
And it seems wrong. I mean, I come from a part of the world where central heating is kind of standard. So I've always found it a little bit strange when I come to this country, and it is more temperate. Don't get me wrong; it is not. It's warmer. But to only kind of heat one part of your house was the strangest thing that I ever experienced when I came here. I came here at the beginning of summer, I'm pleased to say, and I had a heat pump, but it was only in my living space. So the rest of my house, 4 bedrooms, and you know, and all the other you know, auxiliary living, didn't have any heat, and it took me a long time to get my head around that, and not in a good way. I ended up putting more heat pumps in so that I could kind of heat my whole house, because it didn't seem right. But you know, you hear stories year in, year out, and it doesn't seem to change. Of, like, you know, old people, you know, sitting there in their clothes, you know, fully dressed in their dressing gown, you know, staying warm under blankets, like, because they haven't got the heating to keep themselves.
I mean, I think the price of electricity, which is like rocketed up, is certainly part of the picture. And I talked to a landlord a few years ago, but anyway, they were complaining about their tenant whose house had mould in the curtains, and they were like, they never open the windows, and people don't open the windows if it's too cold.
No, you can't.
And you know, like, I was like, I just didn't accept that a house that didn't have proper heating and that opening the windows in the middle of winter
It's an unfair expectation,
for 10
isn't it?
minutes maybe. But
But it's an unfair expectation, isn't it? Because
I think so.
You do that, and then it costs you more to rewarm the house up. Sun's an important thing. Like, I never thought I'd be coming to a place in the world where the exposure to sun was a reason to buy or not buy a house.
Yeah, or that it's a kind of changes people's mental well-being over the winter. You know, like the lack of sun and the quality of the light is, And
it seems well intentioned, but it doesn't seem well executed, and I'm kind of wondering where we go from here. Because do they just stop now? Like, the Healthy Homes is done, therefore. It almost feels like that. All the houses now are fine, but it's not. That's not the case, is it? It's
absolutely clearly not the case. So, I mean, I guess the Healthy Homes should be enforced.
Yep.
I don't know that there's any enforcement for Healthy Homes other than complaining.
They've made it a complainers situation, and that is tough as well, because you complain, you get noticed for complaining, right?
Well, and then you get we have no fault eviction now, so you complain, you
get gone, get gone. So there's a risk in complaining. We've got MB as in the Ministry of Business in whatever, I don't know what the I&E stand for, Industry and
Ministry of Business Innovation and employment.
That's on like MB. Anyway, these guys are doing and have done some checks on the Healthy Home Standard. Can't remember the stats. I want to say it was something like 57%, but it might have been 57 flats. But anyway, there was quite a good number when they checked in Dunedin in the student flats that that had issues. And considering they've had years and years and years to get to that standard, it seems a little bit,
wrong.
Wrong, yeah.
It does seem wrong. It seems wrong.
It seems wrong that should be the case. Literally, the standard was we've given you 5 years. The standard is supposed to be in by the 1st of June, 2026, or whatever it was. It was somewhere around there. And yet you go and do a check, and then you got all of these places that have been managed by property management companies and all these other people as well, which is then part of their responsibility to kind of make sure these landlords are doing that. And yet they're still found wanting. And yes, there's fines, and yes, there's repercussions, but this is like weeks after you're supposed to the cut off point, and you haven't met it on day one. But it's not like it. But you had years to get there. It just kind of feels like, well,
I feel your frustration, Richard. It's and when it's people's health, and their long term, well-being. That's
the other side of it, isn't it? It's like it impacts everything else, because if you now can't go to work because you're sick, and you can't, or you're using the health service because you're sick, it costs more money. It's compounding that cost.
Kids missing school because they're sick.
Yeah, education money being spent, but no learning taking place, and you're just kind of going, come on, this is 2026. 2026, we've spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years working out how to build stuff, genuinely, and we all work on the basis that there's one, better, you do better. But yet we were at a situation, 2026, right? Elon Musk is talking about putting men on Mars, right? And we can't put our 18-year-old, 19-year-old kids in a house that's not damp, cold, dangerous to their health. Where are our priorities at that point? That to me is like, well, hang on a second. You're talking about putting people on the moon. They're going back to the moon now. Because that's a good thing. They've got you talking about putting people on another bloody planet, right? But you can't put the people on your own planet in a house that doesn't make them sick.
I totally agree. I mean, I think there's a sort of there's been a feeling that capitalism and the market economy will deliver everything that needs to be delivered, but I don't think that is the case. And this government's priorities are clearly not with not with people in rental houses.
No.
And they're clearly with landlords and with no, because one of the first things this government did was give a $3 billion tax cut for landlords. And I'm not against landlords. I know they provide a service, but that tax cut was provided with no requirement that they pass on and lower rents and no
minimum standard for living.
Yeah, no saying, well, you get this if you can show that your homes are, meeting the standard or exceeding the standard for. So do you know, like, it's not going to get better under the current coalition government, I don't believe.
No, and I'd agree. But I wonder if we do get a change in November, whether we get whether anyone, and I don't know because I haven't looked, but we are going to talk about some policies in a minute. Whether there is a Healthy Homes 2.0 to then take it to the next level. Yeah, because it doesn't feel finished to me. It feels like there should be more. We've got to. You've got to a really pretty basic benchmark, right? How do we now kick on from that and actually kind of go? Don't just dust our hands and go, hey, we fixed that problem. I want the next Labour, Green, whatever coalition to come in and go. Now we keep going.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, solar. I don't know whether this is anybody's policy, but do you know, to be truthful, if you invested in solar energy in people's houses, then they wouldn't be so reliant on electricity and the expensive electricity. They could generate their own. And that's good for our kind of meeting our climate change targets, as well as really good at putting money into people's pockets and allowing them to heat their homes. To say, I just heard the other day somebody saying that people's bedrooms are too cold. Was a report on saying that people in New Zealand tend to sleep in bedrooms that are a bit too cold for their health. Yeah. And that's largely because of all the reasons that you're talking about. When you arrived, no heating in the whole house. And
yeah, well, I couldn't have heated my bedroom if I wanted to the first year I lived in my house because there was nothing. There was other than rolling in an oil-filled radiator or electric 3-bar heater that was going to, you could hear the electricity going when that turns on.
Yeah, you get a hottie and put a jersey on and some socks and yeah.
Yeah, and I don't like pajamas. I don't like to be cold, but I don't like to be
TMI, Richard.
I don't like to be fully dressed in bed either. If that makes sense. It's like if I've got to get dressed to get into bed, it's like what am I doing here? It's like I've come from a country that's colder, where I didn't have to put 15 layers on in order to be warm at night and I have a less than fitful night's sleep. But yeah, it just kind of. Yeah, does make me wonder. Anyway, let's move on to the next topic.
Sure.
South Dunedin and its future. One thing I've learnt recently, if anything that's taught me on social media, is that councils don't need experts, they don't need engineers, they don't need people that know what they're talking about. They literally just need to go to the ODT Facebook comments and they have got all the expertise that you could ever literally want. Literally sitting there, 4:30 in the afternoon, clearly not at work, with the answers to everything. Which is brilliant, because it just means that, literally, if you just sack the whole of the DCC staff, all you could do is just literally go to the ODT comments and just go, seriously, Joe from wherever you are, just what's the answer? Can we fix South Dunedin with $30, some number 8 wire and a spade, and pretty much there's someone there that's got the answer to that. It's like I just find it absolutely crazy. Genuinely, this is sarcasm. If anyone has missed it in any way, shape, or form, that suddenly everyone is an expert on floods and engineering and pipes and pumps and all these things, and you kind of go in this is this is climate change, this is bloody erosion, this is a seawall at St Clair that should never have been built because it's a bloody reflector for the drags all the sand off the beach. These are hundreds of years of bad engineering decisions that need to be fixed in order for people to continue living in a place that they've lived for those 100 years. And yet John Smith on Facebook knows what the answer is, and he can do it for $1.50. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm glad you were being sarcastic. I was like...
You were worried about. You were worried for it.
Could you see my face? I was like,
yeah.
Gosh,
you were so sensible in the last topic, Richard. Now what? Now what the hell are you saying?
Yeah. So, well, I'm certainly no expert on South Dunedin, but I don't even quite know where. I know there's been some controversy recently about the council announcing something.
This was really crazy. They went to a workshop. They've gone. This is South Dunedin Future Programme has been around for years and years, right? A decade,
and they
maybe.
Did some consulting, and it looked really.
Yeah, they started with seven possible futures.
Yeah.
Right. Number one was do nothing. That was an easy one to write. Number two was like pipes and pumps.
Yeah.
Would they talk about an engineering solution? 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 were varying degrees of
mitigation or something like
letting the water in, not letting the water in, raising land, allowing wet spaces, those kind of things, canals, that kind of stuff. And they've gone from those 7, which included a pipes and pumps option, to come down to 3. Now, all 3 options include a pipes and pumps option, right? So they include pipes and pumps. All 3 options include engineering. So they include making the pipes bigger so the water goes somewhere, making the pumps bigger so that they, when we've got more water, because we have got more water, we've got more frequent rain events because we've got climate change. Yeah. Stop denying it. Climate change. The world is getting worse, and we're letting it burn, and there's no planet B, right? Anyway. So we've got that. That's all built in. So they excluded option 2 because all the other options have got because all the other options include option 2, right? And then they went to a workshop, and some of the new councillors went, "What about pipes and pumps? I'm an expert. What about pipes and pumps? Why haven't you listened to the public?" Well, we did listen to the public, but we've assured the public that pipes and pumps are part of the 3 options because we need more than pipes and pumps, because actually this is bigger than pipes and pumps, all right? Because you've got to remember is like South Dunedin is full of construction. It's full of hard surface. It's full of houses. It's full of all the things that don't let rain go somewhere.
And climate change hasn't stopped yet.
No, and it's not going
at
to.
all.
It's not, and it's unlikely that it's going to. But anyway, and then some of these councillors, the new councillors that haven't been part of decades worth of work, and I understand that's not, they're maybe not up to speed or whatever, decided to get in the ear of the ORC, who were voting before we were voting, to get pipes and pumps put back in. All right, so we went from 4 things, and then because ORC went, oh, this pipes and pumps, that sounds like we should have that. So again, kind of showing a lack of knowledge on the things that have gone before. Then turned around and went, well, if we don't put pipes and pumps in, what are we thinking? It was there. It's still there, just slightly underneath the surface, which is where pipes and pumps should probably be. That's just a logistical thing. I'm not an engineer, but apparently pipes go in the ground, not above the ground. And then we get back to the situation where because they've done that, we've had to then adopt the same, because we've got to be aligned with the ORC because it's a joint venture, because it's bigger than just us. Which then pushes the decision, because all that workshop was to go, hey, these are the 3. We're going to go out and consult on this. How are we going to consult, right? And then instead, panic ensued. A whole load of councillors decided that the artist's impression, because this is all it is, right? There's no design work done because they haven't decided on the system, right? So they've not gone out and done any proper design.
Blueprints or...
No, yeah, exactly. Just artist impression. Potentially, there's going to be some houses that need to be dealt with. But of course, the populist politicians went, they're going to buy your houses, they're going to kick you out of your homes, the houses you lived in, and they've literally ramped that up and blown it all out of proportion, genuinely, because not one single house has been planned for acquisition. What they're saying is there's some general areas here, and here where we may have to buy some houses in order, if we design a solution that requires a wet space here and there's currently 50 houses, we might need to pay you handsomely for your 50 houses. So it's just like it's one of those kind of like weird.
Political kind of.
It's too political, and ultimately, and so then now we push the consultation 4 months down the line because they've got to go back and now plan this pipes and pumps option into the consultation because you can't consult on the three that the public had already chosen, and then add the next one, and then do the other one later because you can't consult on that one after you consulted on the first. It's mad,
right? Yep.
Have I made that sound?
Yeah, no. It's actually very useful because I've been busy, and I'd kind of had it in the corner of my mind that there was something important happening out there and some development. So thank you for explaining.
Well, hopefully I've explained it, but it's become far more political than it ever needed to be, genuinely.
Well,
because
new
actually,
councillors, new priorities. Councils are political bodies.
I know, but there's been a lot of look at me. I want to be the person that provides the solution so that you can thank me afterwards. It feels to me like genuinely, rather than actually
the person who asks the hard questions when probably they have been asked actually. And
asked and answered normally, and then but I asked it, so I'm now the person that's fixing it, so that you can thank me. When everyone says how, in 60 years' time, and they build a statue to me, like they, because I fixed the South. And no, it's like genuinely, local politics shouldn't be like that to me. It should actually be about just the welfare and the good of the people, right? And that's how I feel.
Well, I agree.
Last topic before we move on to you. Some policies. We're starting to see some policies from political parties.
Oh yeah.
We're starting to see some interesting. We'll wind those back. That's quite some interesting stuff because there's been a lot. In my mind, there's been a lot of regression in this coalition of chaos, and I've said this for years and years and years already. So no one would be surprised to hear me say it again. But it's good to see some of that being promised to be like pay equity.
Yeah.
For example, and we're probably going to talk about that in much more depth when we talk about you. But those kind of things, it's good to see them coming back. But what I found interesting, and this is just an observation, and I don't know if it's just because I've been missing it, but I do tend to stay across the news, is that Christopher Luxon appears to have vanished.
Yeah. Yep.
Like you're still seeing Simeon Brown in the papers, and you're still seeing like Nicola Willis, and you're still seeing Christopher Bishop, but he seems to have just gone.
Maybe he's
holiday
aware of his
imminent demise.
Well, yeah, and
would it be nice?
His unlikability. And his unlikability comes from...
Yeah, but you can't say that Chris Bishop, Simeon Brown and Nicola Willis are likeable either, to be fair.
Well, Christopher Luxon has a special brand of unlikability. He's unusual for a politician because I've never had... I can't remember a politician that's so mean about everybody, that's so kind of all borderline abusive. Like we're all wet, whiny, we're bottom feeders.
That's one of his good ones.
We're C-listers. We've lost our. There's really hardly anybody that he hasn't demonstrated contempt for.
Yeah.
And that's really unpleasant, and people don't like it. So maybe he's staying out of the way because, I agree that, Chris Bishop's not likeable.
Got a very sour face.
Yeah, and David Seymour's got a
smackable face.
Indeed.
Yeah, I think he's got the most punchable face in politics. But not that I advocate violence because I'm not. I'm a pacifist. I don't throw punches ever.
He's sort of like Rimmer off.
He is
off Red Dwarf.
Yeah. But less likeable.
Yeah, indeed.
You could like Rimmer. Like there was occasions when my wife's a Red Dwarf fan. Somehow Rimmer is likeable as well,
in spite of himself.
In spite of all his best endeavours. Yeah. He's still likeable, but you'd argue that David Seymour isn't.
Yeah, no, he's not likeable because his agenda is so hateful.
He's maybe like the holographic husk that Rimmer would left behind.
Who Rimmer would like to be if he didn't have a heart.
Crazy. I don't want to talk about too much more because I think we'll cover some of this when we talk about you. But before we talk about you, I'm going to get a quick word from our wonderful sponsor.
Dunedin, meet your new favourite bakery. Casa Valencia at 53 Musselburgh Rise is serving up freshly baked bread, pastries and gorgeous cakes. And if you haven't tried the ube donut yet, you are seriously missing out. Our signature purple yam donut and purple yam drink are the must-try combos your taste buds have been waiting for. Pair it all with a hot or cold drink, grab a cake for someone special and make your day a little sweeter. Casa Valencia, 53 Musselburgh Rise, Dunedin. Open Monday to Saturday, 9am to 5pm. See you there.
You ever been to Casa Valencia?
I totally have.
You have?
Yeah, I just had one of their ube bun things.
Purple whatever. Purple goodness.
Yeah, it's, what is it? A pun. Oh, anyway, I can't remember. But yeah, I have.
I know.
I love it.
They're 3 doors down from where I work.
Great.
I'm there every day. It's no surprise.
Totally understand.
It's no surprise that they're
lovely.
sponsoring the show.
They're really nice.
They're beautiful people.
And the food is gorgeous.
I get staff lunches. Which
Nice.
basically means I turn up and the stuff that they've cooked for their staff, they just go, do you want to try some? I'm like, oh, go on then, twist my arm. On top of the stuff that I buy, they just give me all the stuff that they don't sell. But they share themselves. It's like, I'm driven by my stomach. It's just the way I was brought up. It's all about food. Right now, Jen Wilson, PSA. Give us the 5-minute Cliff Notes version of your good self and what's got you to this point in your life, career, etc. And maybe explain to anyone that's listening who the PSA are for a start, and who you are, and just say and let's start with that, and we'll see where that blossoms.
Right. Yeah. All right. So, kia ora. I'm a PSA organizer, and so the PSA is the biggest union in the country. We have 100,000 members. It's a democratic organisation of workers who pay money to the organisation. It's sort of like a big collective, and that money goes towards employing organisers who help organise workplaces and support members and bargain collectively for people's terms and conditions. So I'm one of those people I'm a member of the PSA, but I'm also employed by the PSA to organise and support workers who work in the public service. And so part of our...
So PSA stands for Public Service...
It does. Association.
Yeah. Right, okay.
So it is a registered trade union.
Right.
And it's old. It probably the oldest union, I think. It started in 1905, I think.
Right, okay. So 120 years-ish, roughly.
Yeah. And so we bargain for, and so we represent workers in the public service, the core public service, like ministries and departments, and also state-owned enterprises like ACC and Assure Quality and what's the place out at Mosgiel? Anyway, I can't remember. It's not one of my sites, but
that's right.
And also community public services. So that's where I kind of I'm focused, is on community public services. So they're not all public bodies, but they're publicly funded.
Okay.
So, for example, I organise at a number of home support providers, and also I organise at the hospitals.
Okay.
In Dunedin and Invercargill and around the place.
Yeah.
For admin workers there.
Gotcha.
So it's a pretty great job.
Yeah. So I guess someone else looks after the nurses and the doctors. There's the nurses union and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's right. So and all those unions have a peak body, which is the New Zealand Council of Trade Unions, and most of the big unions and most unions affiliate to the Council of Trade Unions.
Right.
And the PSA, our sort of brief is obviously to look after the terms and conditions of employment, including pay for our members. But we also have a really big interest in public services, and actually quality public services. So because public services benefit all workers, actually.
Yeah.
And so we not just because our members do it, but because all workers benefit from public services where we make it our business to advocate for and promote quality public services.
Fantastic. So pay equity has been something that's been on the lips of many people for many months. I'm assuming you guys are well and truly involved in that, and perhaps you might be in the position, rightly or wrong, I don't know, let me know if you're not, able to kind of explain to people out there what's kind of happened with pay equity, because there was that the previous government brought something in to kind of deal with pay equity. And I think people don't understand that what pay equity even necessarily is.
For sure.
Are you able to explain that?
I would be absolutely delighted to, because when the changes happened in May last year, there was an awful lot of misinformation put about by the coalition government who were changing it. So I'd be really happy to have to give a bit of a explanation. So pay equity has been on the agenda of the public service for 80 or 90 years.
Right.
So, and in the past, there used to be differential pay rates for men and women. And so men were paid more, women were paid less. And that was, permitted and normal and terrible, but
perfectly normal.
But perfectly normal. And the PSA agitated against that, and eventually a law was passed, the Equal Pay Act, and so that prohibited different rates for men and women doing the same job.
Yep.
So that's different from pay equity.
Yes, because I think that's what people think pay equity is, isn't it?
Yeah.
People are sitting there going, oh, yeah, but if I get a job at Countdown, Woolworths, and I'm a man and I'm a female, we get paid exactly the same. So what are you going on about?
Yeah, so there you have pay, equal pay. And equal pay is a floor, obviously, that we shouldn't ever fall below.
Yep.
And pay parity is a different thing again. So that's where, say you have nurses who work in a hospital and nurses who work in a different sort of hospital with a different employer, getting different pay rates, often because they're funded differently.
Yep.
So that's parity that those people are after.
Yeah.
Pay equity is about whole industries being low paid or being differently paid because the people who doing them are mostly women.
Right.
So so that's quite a different thing.
Yes.
That's where the misinformation came from really over the last year, making it sound as though, well, you can't compare two different jobs. That's just makes no sense. How could we compare a fisheries officer and a home support worker? That's the absolute point of pay equity, is that some jobs that are equivalently complex and difficult and need similar qualifications and have the similar demands are paid less than those equivalent jobs, because the bulk of the people who are doing them are women.
Yeah,
and
that's wrong.
That's
wrong.
It,
Absolutely, that's wrong. I say that as a man.
Yeah.
Right? I say that as someone who's employed people. I say that at every level. That is wrong, right? And how demeaning is that as well? Like from like, forget anything else, is like to say, well, because you're a particular type of job that's primarily done by women, you are only worth this much compared to these guys over here, because simply because they're men, but they're doing very similar, whether they be menial or complex tasks. It doesn't matter. But they'll get paid more because.
Yeah. So when the government said, it was absolutely obvious that you couldn't compare a home support with a fisheries officer. So they were demonstrating the need to have pay equity legislation, because it's not obvious. And in fact, when you do analysis, I mean, I'm not talking about fisheries officers especially, but that was one of the examples that they gave, and that has come up as a comparator. So it's So a pay equity process is like a giant research project where the jobs of the two things that you think might be equivalent are deeply analysed and then compared and compared in terms of all the factors that the legislation sets out as being relevant, and at the end of that you get a score, I guess.
Yeah.
And you say, oh, well, they're different. They really different work. But when we look at when we analyse them, they're equivalent.
Yeah.
And so that's quite hard to get your head around.
Yeah.
But it's not impossible.
No.
We do it with things,
Yeah.
and it's
We've got the smarts, right?
That's right. And in fact, we've got tools that have been developed, over many years of people with a lot of expertise who can provide that detailed analysis.
Yeah.
And so, and the consequences of not having pay equity is that women's lives are blighted. They can't save as much. They don't go on such good holidays. They have less good dental care. They, like for people on low incomes, being forced into low paid work. And when I say forced, the work itself is really good.
Yeah.
It is valuable and it is complex and it is. So I'm sort of talking about home support here because that was the case that was the claim that my members were very much involved with, and that was one that had been all the work had been done to do the analysis, and the funding was there, and it just didn't get signed off.
That's crazy.
And then it got cancelled.
Then it got canned.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that all that work is actually, there's huge amounts of work, right? Because it's not obvious, because people are scratching their heads going, I don't understand why, how can you compare that to that? Because there's a level of complexity and technical detail that needs to be worked through in order to get to a situation where you go, yeah, we've done all that groundwork. We can see that actually, having done that comparison, they are, because you can't just like pick two random things, right? There's a whole you've got to at least be trying to make comparables to something you're going to know that's going to wind back to similar skills and effort and requirements, etc.
And after you've done a number of pay equity claims, you have a bank of roles that have been analysed.
Hopefully the next one gets that little bit easier.
Yeah, that's right.
But the fact they then when we're going to bin all that and we're not going to progress with these claims is basically them throwing away potentially billions of dollars of work.
Absolutely. It was
just down the drain.
Profligate. It was absolutely outrageous waste of
all the money that's gone beforehand.
Yeah, and at every point, for example, of the home support pay equity claim, at every point, it's not like it's done by unions on their own. Claims are analysed collectively with employers and unions, and if it's a funded service like home support, with the funder signing off to say that it's that they're happy with the process and that they're on board with it. So home support is funded largely by Te Wharaora, and was the Ministry of Health. At every point along that claim, it was signed off by employers, by unions, and by the funder. And it was really only at the end when the amount of money looked so big, the disparity was really big, and it was going to cost a lot. And you know what? If you don't meet that cost, you're just saying to those women, actually, we've got evidence to say that you're worth this much, but we're not going to do it. And that is entirely what happened.
I want to come back to that in a second, but before I do, I do want to get another quick word from our wonderful sponsor.
Dunedin, meet your new favourite bakery. Casa Valencia at 53 Musselburgh Rise is serving up freshly baked bread, pastries and gorgeous cakes. And if you haven't tried the ube donut yet, you are seriously missing out. Our signature purple yam donut and purple yam drink are the must-try combos your taste buds have been waiting for. Pair it all with a hot or cold drink, grab a cake for someone special and make your day a little sweeter. Casa Valencia, 53 Musselburgh Rise, Dunedin. Open Monday to Saturday, 9am to 5pm. See you there.
That comes across as a massive kick in the teeth, right? As you've done all this work, you've taken your members, you've taken the people that are sitting in those sectors that are undervalued, underpaid, through this journey, a long journey. It's not a short journey, and get to a point where you're literally within touching distance of the prize. And the government goes, we're not going to go ahead with that. Not only we're not going to go ahead with that, we're going to change the criteria around it, and we're going to make it harder, and then we're going to ask you to start all over again. If we get a change of government, when, please, hopefully, fingers crossed, when we get a change of government, can they roll back to where you were? Can they go back and actually go, sorry about the last 3 years, but we can literally go back to that point where you'd done that work, where you'd got to that point where you were within touching distance, and we can just reinstate and move forward for the next stage. Is that even possible?
That's certainly what we are campaigning for.
Right.
So absolutely, it should be the what happens. To say we're going to reinstate the legislation, but you'll have to start again. It would be just wasteful and ridiculous. So
it's already wasteful, isn't it? But it's been wasted. It's been wasted by the current coalition of chaos.
But there would be all that work would have to be redone. So our expectation and what we're asking politicians to pledge to is to reinstate the legislation and to reinstate the claims. So that they can then look at what that would be to settle them.
Right.
So
what does settling actually mean? Does that mean that is there an expectation that we go back retrospectively and make good those, or is settling mean that we make a commitment that this job or this group of jobs that were being paid at this lower level are now paid at a higher level going forward? What does settling look like? It's
usually a matter of negotiation. So
was it a bit of both?
Yeah, it is a matter of so back pay is tricky.
Yeah.
Because if you sacrifice, at the end of it, you should come up with a rate that would recognise pay equity. That would be a rate that wasn't gender biased.
Yeah.
And then you would look, well, what is that going to cost in terms of money? If you then spent some of that money rather than increasing the rates, but doing back pay, do you know, like that's it's not good financial sense it's not for the people going forward. The higher rates would be better. We shouldn't be agreeing to. So I don't know. I'm not saying back pay would be amazing, but it was a $3 billion settlement.
Yeah.
Back when it was cancelled. So if we could say, look, let's move forword. Let's pay the pay equity rates. That would be.
That's better.
That would be better than. Yeah.
The only reason I'm asking is because obviously when a lot of people when people hear settlements, it's all about retrospective. Recompense, like rather than like, but which is why I want to ask, because I don't know. Like, I mean, whilst I'm sitting here expressing some level of like understanding of it, I didn't know. But I hear what you're saying, because actually, if there's $3 billion to make it right, you want to make it right for everyone going forward, rather than taking $2 billion of that to make it almost right going forward.
Yeah, and people being paid less. I mean, you can't. It wouldn't sit under the current legislation. You can't actually have a settlement. So a settlement is where all the parties agree, and the evidence shows that the pays that you've agreed to will not be gender biased. So, like there's obviously...
It's not a financial settlement, it's a settlement of understanding.
But it does have funding implications.
Yeah, of course, so, because you've got to bring that whole sector, whatever they might be, all the employees within that group that are being at the moment gender biased to a detrimental side of things. You've got to then bring them back to a non-gender biased
that's right.
thing.
And one of the things that got rid of was the mechanisms for maintaining pay equity. So the forces that cause women's work to sexism basically cause women's
sexism and misogyny
to be undervalued haven't gone away. And so the downward pressure on women's wages compared to men's wages is still being exerted. So the legislation that was changed...
How mad is that? Genuinely, how mad is that?
No, it's terrible.
It's 2026.
I know.
It's 2026.
Yeah.
Women have already proved, without a shadow of a doubt, that they're tougher than men. They're as good at doing things.
It's infuriating.
They shouldn't have to be battling that again, right? They have spent thousands, if not millennia, proving that blokes ain't better than women, right? We've done that. That argument is done and done, right? And yet
you'd like to think so, Richard.
Well, no, it's supposed to be. Genuinely, there's not a single thing that I've met a woman in my people go strength or this. No, I know women that are stronger than me. I know women that are smarter than me. I know women that are obviously not as pretty as me because I'm just a pretty human being. But I'm joking. But I look across my entire friend and acquaintance base, and I would not say that there is a man better than a woman in any of that. Genuinely, and I'm not just saying that because that's the right thing to say. No, because it's it's demonstrably true, right? We have been through that argument. Women have had to fight that bloody rubbish forever, right? And genuinely, if you're going to make a list, there's probably more things that women are better at than do you know what I mean? Like there'll be a list of things that they're better at than blokes. But it's not about that. It's about actually we just want equality, equity. Yeah. It's not. It shouldn't be something that's so bloody hard.
Yeah, I agree.
And it shouldn't be.
Yeah, especially
when you've got people like me that agree, right? Because not all men think that women are inferior. There are a number of us, genuinely, and a good number of us, a good strong number of us that are totally on side with all the things we're talking about. But yet we still have a downward pressure. There is still that misogyny and sexism within society that puts a downward pressure on female jobs over male jobs. There's only one cause of that problem. And that's men, possibly.
Yeah. I mean, I think
maybe it's too simple.
Yeah.
But a lot of it's got to come from what we're doing.
Yeah. I think men who aren't misogynist need to advocate for pay equity,
it shouldn't just be women screaming for pay equity, is it?
That's right. So we think that even the ODT did a editorial a few months ago, and they said that pay equity should be an election issue. So and by that I mean, if the party that you're thinking about voting for is not committing to reinstate the legislation or the claims, then we're encouraging people not to vote for them, because if you do vote for one of those parties, then you are voting against pay equity.
Well, you are, right?
I mean, and so you're voting against the interests of women, basically, and especially low-paid women.
And genuinely, those parties cannot argue that they are dealing with pay equity, because they absolutely categorically aren't. They're doing the opposite of that, right? So don't listen to a national MP or a New Zealand Winston First MP, like I call them, because it's all about Winston. ACT MP tell you that you can vote for them because they are dealing with pay equity, because they're not.
They have the national government just has a long history of gutting pay equity. So back in 1990, I think, there was a pay equity union that had been set up by the previous government, and one of the first things that they did was to abolish it. So they absolutely.
I find that kind of by not even bipartisan power, that kind of power to just do that wrong. With the majority of government should do you know what I mean? Just because you've got majority of power doesn't mean this is where I think about the sort of super majorities that you have in some other political parties. I don't think you should be able to make those kind of decisions without actually having 80% of bipartisan, like across all parties. You kind of go, that's something we should do.
I could think. I mean, probably with the MMP we have a closer. That was back in the days of first past the post, I think, and it's political sort of system's a bit more representative, I guess, now.
We've run out of time, Jen.
Oh, well, it's been lovely.
I told you that this would fly by, but thank you very much for coming on the show. I feel like we've got another show in you, so we'll get you back at some point in time, maybe after the election, see where we're starting from there. But
cool.
you just sit there while I round it out. Well, that's a wrap for this week. Thank you for tuning in. I've been Richard Knights, and you've all been wonderful. Remember, if you're looking for robust, respectful, adult debate about all things local and further afield, and a welcoming online community doesn't take itself too seriously, come and find What's News Dunedin on Facebook and join our fun. On next week's show, we'll be talking to Sean Hannigan, Aoife Johnston, and Olive Alvray-Matin from Dunedin Thunder Women's Ice Hockey Team. So look forward to seeing you next Friday at 12 on OAR FM. And if you want to listen to the show again or simply share it with your friends, you can find the podcast at oar.org.nz, or even on Spotify, YouTube, or your favourite podcast provider.
This podcast was produced by OAR FM Dunedin with support from New Zealand On the Air.